final chapter of Shir Hashirim, and Shir Hashirim is all about partnership and love, and so my wife wanted to take the day off, so there we are. Miyat necha ka'achli yonek shidei imi emsa eka bachutz eshkecha gam lo yavuzu li. If only I could be as with a brother, as if you had nursed at my mother's breast, and I could kiss you when I met you in the street, and no one would despise me. What they were saying there is, right, it's so much of this book is this attempt at closeness, and so often that they are far away from each other. And so here, the woman is saying, if you were, close to me, like my brothers, then we wouldn't have these. We wouldn't have these problems where we weren't next to each other. And hagsa aviecha el beitini tilam deni, ashkecha me'ayin harekach me'asis rimoni. I would lead you. I would bring you to the house of my mother, of her who taught me. I would let you drink of the spice wine of my pomegranate juice. Smolo tachad roshi vimino techabkeni. His left hand was under my head. His right hand caressed me. Shpati etchem bedot Yerushalayim matiru matoru et avat shetechbatz. I tell you, O maidens of Jerusalem, do not wake arouse love until it is ready, until it pleases. And this is something that she said over and over again. And maybe it's a sense of sort of disappointment, especially if we think of this as being a song. As I said, one of the interpretations of this book is it was songs that were sung at weddings, that she's saying that getting that connection and getting together is not so simple. And so, you got to wait till the right moment, the right time. And when there's that right moment and that right time, then you pounce, then you go, right away, and you have that sort of that love and that connection. But it's not such an easy thing to have together. Is I think part of the idea. Now, next three verses, let us continue. Love is going to be compared to a flame. Mizot olam in amidbar mitra peket al doda tachat hatapuach oraticha shama chabalti imecha shama chibla yiladetecha. Who is she that comes up from the desert leaning upon her beloved? Simeni kichotam al libecha kichotam al zroecha ki azakamadat avakasha kishol kina rishafeha rishpei eish shal hevateh. Let me be a seal upon your heart, like a seal upon your hands, right? Let me be with you. Let us be together. For love is fierce as death. Passion is as mighty as Sheol. It darts of fire, a blazing flame, right? Love can be all-consuming, and love can be also dangerous when it consumes somebody, and maybe they don't love somebody else, or their love is so great. And we think, of course, of Romeo and Juliet and many other books. And she says the love is so great sometime that Mayim Rabim Lo Yuchlu Lichavot et Ha'ava. Beautiful line from here. And continues, Unaharot Lo Yishtifuha. We're in verse 7. Vast floods can't quench love, nor rivers drown it. Imitain Ishet Kol Hon Beito Ba'ava, Boz Yavuzu Lo. If a man offered all of his wealth for love, he would be laughed to scorn, right? You can't just pay for it. It's not something. You can have an 80-year-old, person worth $100 billion who marries a 25-year-old supermodel. Last time I checked, that's not love. That's not what's being described in this verse. Maybe it is. That's what oftentimes the woman claims. If she's the 25-year-old being married to the 85-year-old a billionaire, especially without the prenup. But right, 5 through these verses, very much the love, and this is also, if we take it as the allegories, the metaphor, Bnei Yisrael and God, right? It's been destructive. It's been difficult at times. Bnei Yisrael have suffered. We haven't always. But it doesn't matter what is offered to us from others. No matter how much money it is, we should understand that we can't just give it. We can't just let it go. This burning love, this desire, this connection between God and the Jewish people should remain. It should be, right? Doesn't matter how much mayim is ain, the nahar, the river, the mayim cannot extinguish the love. Here she turns again in a similar way to younger persons. Achot lanu kitana, the shadaim einla. So we have a younger sister who is not, her breasts are not, she's not yet through puberty. Mana asel achotenu bayom shedidaber ba. What shall we do for our sister when she is spoken for? If she be a wall, we would build upon it a silver battlement. She be a door, we would panel it in cedar. Ani choma, as opposed to this youngster, this is either the lover or an older woman. The Shaddai kamigdalot az haiti veinav kimotz eit shalom. I am a wall. My breasts are like towers, so I became in his eyes as one who finds favor. And in these verses, right? There's some younger sister and she's not ready for love. And so the community seeks to protect her and to prepare her. Because we see again in this book the difficulties of it, the passion, the desire back and forth, and maybe it also refers to somebody who needs mentor and guidance in their relationship with God and is not ready yet to be there fully. They're not fully formed, and they're going through a confusing period in their relationship, and they're not ready yet. And so a lot of different questions here in terms of how do we protect youngsters. And it's interesting to think about in the ancient world, where of course young daughters were sold into this uh, quasi marriage slavery maiden thing. That here we see it, that this book, which is about love, it's not just about a marriage that comes about through money. This question of protecting the youngster, protecting her until she's ready to try to be into in a loving relationship. Continue now in verse in pasuk yud aleph. Pasuk yud aleph. We continue and we turn back to the author, according to tradition of this book, Karen Hayal Shlomo B'Baal Hamon Natanet HaKerem Linotrim Ish Yavi B'Firyo Elef Kasef. Shlomo had a vineyard in Baal Hamon. He had to post guards in the vineyard. A man would give for its fruit 1,000 pieces of silver. And in verse 12, Karmi Shali Lifanai Ha'elef L'cha Shlomo Matayim Linotrim Et Piryo. I have my very own vineyard. You may have 1,000 Shlomo, and the guards of a fruit of 200. Hayoshevet Baganim Chaverim Makshivim Lekolei Chashmi'eni. O you who linger in the garden, a lover is listening. Let me hear your voice. And these verses, right? Shlomo's vineyard might be, is that a mention of the personal vineyard? Is this the man speaking here, who's the wealthy, who's from royalty? As we talked about the different ways that he speaks about the horses of Pharaoh and all of the jewels and the beautiful smells. And so is this a question of two different vineyards? Some have tried to say one of the vineyards is the idea of the vineyard of God, which means sort of God's plan in everything. One might be a personal vineyard, our own personal, right? There might be a national project. The state of Israel is the Jewish person's national project. We can be involved in that and still have our own vineyard, our own connection with God, our own personal vineyard that we have in our own spiritual work and whatnot. And the understanding here in some of these verses is this: the man who's now speaking again. It is not clear exactly. Let's finish off with the last couple of verses. Let me just read 13 again and then 14. Hayoshevet baganim chaverim makshivim lekolei chashmin. Oh, you who linger, who are in the garden, a lover is listening. Let me hear your voice. Like you're in the garden. Is this the man speaking to the woman? Is this God speaking to the Jewish people? You're still in the garden, despite the difficulties, despite the galut, despite the exile. You're still in the garden. You haven't removed yourself completely from the garden. You're still in this relationship. You're still searching for me. God is saying, I am listening. Let me hear your voice. Hurry, my beloved, swift as a gazelle or a young stag to the hills of spices. Right, and here again, it seems that it's the man, it's the hope for the redemption, and those who understand it as maybe a call for a final redemption. Come fully, come back to the hills. You're in the garden, but now come up to the hills, come up to the peak, come up to the top where we will be together. And it is sort of the lover, the man, and the allegory of God speaking to the Jewish people. You're still there. The book doesn't end with the resolution, but it ends with anticipation. It ends with this sense of the two of them who are back and forth and looking for each other and not always easily finding each other, but they are trying to find each other. They are in search for each other. And despite all of the difficulties, the love poem is saying that the search continues, the search for whether it be God for the Jewish people for God, whether it be in our relationships where we have better times and we have worse times. And so, a number of different just themes of the entire book. Just to conclude, we'll conclude, right? We have this love story with many layers, like we spoke about, Shir Hashirim. It's a love poem And it's about an evolving relationship, a relationship where we're searching, a relationship where we need to hear the knocks, we need to hear the calls, and the hope in the end of that eventual reunion, perhaps messianic. Exile and redemption. The Jewish people have gone through difficulties. There have been times we've tried, we've searched for God, we've waited, and then we've gone outside to search for God, to look for God, and we've been beaten, and there are those who have tried to get rid of us, but we try to retain that closeness. We try to come close to God. And in this book is saying that God is also trying to remain close to us and calling us come back. And there's cycles, the same way in life, there's cycles of closeness with, whether it be with friends, whether it would be with spouses, whether it be with other partners, where times we feel close, there are times we feel further apart. But exile and redemption, there's God is there with us in the redemption. Your partner, even if you're having a difficult time, right? You're together, even if your relationship may not be at its greatest moment. And so we have that aspect as well. And it ends with that hope. It ends with that closeness, that expectation, with that hope to not give up. And finally, Shir Hashirim is very much about the human and the divine. The driving force of existence is the human and the divine coming together, and here trying to come together as lovers, trying to come together as relationship, and trying to remember. One of the lessons of this book is so often it's the longing and they don't meet up. There seems to be some sort of perhaps a marriage scene in the middle of the book, but then they go off and she's chased away, and then she's not good enough, and she's dark, and because of all these, and they come from different backgrounds, and right, it's not just Venus and Mars, men and women. This is God, it's humanity, completely different. We don't understand the plan at all. Right? You talk about Mars and Venus and women and men. We may see things oftentimes differently, but at least you can try to convince your spouse of the plan of what you're thinking, and you can agree or you can give in. God and humanity, God's got a completely different plan. He's got his own field, his own vineyard. And so it's very, very hard. But the hope here is, despite the difficulties, there's attempt here for the plan. There's the plan of God. There's the plan of man. And it's difficult, but the yearning is still there. And that's part of the greatness of this book. We'll conclude with the words that we had of verses of Heschel. This book very much God in search of man and man in search of God. And Rabbi Akiva. What would the Tanakh be without this book? What would this book be without love between God and the Jewish people? Yes, we see partnership. We see God will protect the Jews. The Jews should keep God's mitzvot. But there has to be in life some sort of love, some sort of burning desire, some sort of sense of closeness that at times you feel is so easy, and at times when it's not so easy, to try and to work and to search for the continuation of that love. So we conclude the book of Shir Hashirim. We'll say a quick chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek, and we'll continue tomorrow with the next of the Megillot in a less exotic location for me.